Now, this is a crazy story. You know that whole apartment complex down there on Ventnor Avenue near Longport? A Baglivo, the developer is Stephen Baglivo. You see him up there, right there, smiling, right next to the mayor of Margate, Michael Collins. Seems like they got their numbers mixed up. They can't count how many units are inside this mixed-use property in Margate. Got to give a shout out to Nanette Lobiondo Galloway. Great story. Down Beach Buzz covered this story about 2 weeks ago. Why don't we just read the article from Nanette Lobiondo Galloway? A well-known residential housing developer is under scrutiny for allegedly violating his zoning approvals by increasing the number of units the planning board of Margate approved for a newly built apartment complex at 9710 Ventnor Avenue in Margate. Represented by attorney Eric Goldstein, the developer, Stephen Baglivo, appeared before the planning board back in August 25, 2022. Most of us missed it because it's not live streamed. You can't watch it. They don't want you to see how the sausage is made. They still don't let you watch a live video feed, the Zoom feed of these meetings. Why? Big decisions are made here. I think planning board and zoning stuff is much more important than an actual commission or a council meeting. Baglivo got before the planning board back on August 25 of 2022 after revising his original building plan to reduce the number of living units to 6 two-bedroom suites from 14 one-bedroom units. So that's some new numbers, some new data that Nanette Lobiondo Galloway, the writer here, the reporter, award-winning writer too, I might add. I'm seeing, I thought there was maybe 12, then it got converted down to 6, but this says 14. So the original plan was 14 one-bedroom units. There's 15 parking spots in the parking lot, 12 residential and 3 commercial, because there is, it's a mixed use. There is a commercial business on the ground floor. Variances were granted for a monument sign, also a height adjustment of an architectural parapet, and for parking for the commercial portion of the building. The commercial portion of Margate Gardens is what this complex is called, had the potential to house 5 commercial units, but it's currently occupied by just one tenant. Each residential unit has a front door and a set of patio doors in the master suite that provides access to the deck area located on one side of the building. As we continue the story here from Nanette Lobiondo Galloway, the potential violation issue came to light during public comments made at the April 4, 2024 Board of Commissioners meeting. However, Mayor Michael Collins said city officials have been aware of the area residents' concerns since before certificates of occupancy were issued, and the city has been working to alleviate their concerns. What are you going to do? You saw it beforehand. You see a lot of projects that are going askew. They're going into the weeds. But, let's let them go. Let them take that risk is what we hear. Let them take that risk. What are you going to do? Have them tear it down? It's not going to happen. You're going to fine them? Probably a couple of bucks, maybe. Cost of doing business, baby. I can't believe he said that, Mayor Michael Collins of Margate. The potential violation issue came to light during public comments made at the April 4 commissioner meeting. Collins, the mayor, said city officials have been aware of the area residents' concerns before the certificates of occupancy were issued, and the city has been working to alleviate their concerns. Jeez. Does he know what he's saying? Nothing is off the table, says Collins. He said Monday morning to Nanette Lobiondo Galloway, quote, "We have a dialogue with the developer." Why don't you just say we have a dialogue going on with Steve Baglivo, whatever his name is, Baglivo. He doesn't seem to follow instruction very well. A lot of big developers seem to make their own rules in Margate. You know what I'm saying? Nothing's off the table. What are you going to do? Collins, the mayor of Margate, said the city is aware of alleged violations with the developer renting 12 units when only 6 units were approved. Now do you see why I keep banging that drum? You got to turn these cameras on for these important meetings. It's not a technology issue. It's not a cost issue. They don't want you to watch what's going on, where they're whacking up the money, who's getting a variance for this or that. Is an amusement park going to be built in your backyard? Is there going to be live bands till midnight every night right next to you, your quiet residential neighborhood? I don't know. Nothing's off the table, he said. Collins said the city's aware of the alleged violations with the developer renting out 12 units, where only 6 were approved. And Mr. Collins also, he said that Mayor Collins of Margate said, we're taking care of it. We are not looking the other way. What are you going to do? Fine him? I doubt that even if he gets fined, Mr. Baglivo, it's the cost of doing business, right, bro? You know? Baglivo has built residential housing elsewhere in the city and owns several year-round rental properties. According to neighbor Patrick Geddes, who lives next to the mixed-use complex, each of the 6 approved units was provided with 2 parking spaces in the parking lot, with 3 spaces reserved for a liquor store on the first floor of the complex. However, Geddes said tenants were told to park elsewhere to ensure the commercial property has availability of off-street parking for the convenience of customers. Geddes said he knows of one tenant who's renting a 1-bedroom unit, and another told him that the lease restricts tenants from parking in the lot between 10 a.m. and 10 p.m. every day to allow ample room for parking for the liquor store customers. All right, so quote, instead of parking in the lot, they park on the street, Geddes says, which causes problems for the occupants of other buildings that do not have on-site parking. Mr. Geddes said he also told commissioners of Margate that originally the units were numbered 301, 302, 303, and so on. But now those units are labeled as 301A, 301B. My man, Steve Baglivo, man, he's the man. You know, you got to push the envelopes every once in a while. But remember, there's very few full-timers in Margate. None of you have no voting rights, so they're not really afraid of being voted out of office for being highly deficient in their role as overseers of all this nonsense. According to zoning officer Roger McLaren, he's the man, a very bright man, but he'll get to the bottom of this, right, Roger? Roger Dodger. Now, according to Roger, the city inspected the 6 units last fall when they were still unoccupied and found that they were equipped. Roger doesn't miss a thing. They were equipped with 2 sets of kitchen appliances. What do you know? But listen, maybe Steve was just storing them there. Maybe he was going to have a yard sale. Give him a break. You know, my man, Steve Baglivo. I love that guy. Sort of, kind of. He's whatever. According to zoning officials, according to the, we'll go to the next. Roger McLaren, the zoning officer of Margate, he made Baglivo rip out 6 ovens and stoves. That's what McLaren said to Nanette Lobiando Galloway last week, I should say. It's an amazing story. When's the press of Atlantic City going to get involved with this? They got to get on board. According to documentation provided by Geddes, one of the neighbors, Mayor Collins said the owner's representatives were notified of the alleged violations. Just say it. Just say Steve Baglivo. Just say his name. Say his name. Quote, they were also told to lift any restrictions on residential parking if they exist, the mayor told Geddes in an email. Yeah, there's all kinds. So, yes, the parking issue, that is an issue, but it's not the big one. The big one is like magically 6 units popped up out of nowhere. That's why I love Steve Baglivo. Always just pushing it. According to the Uniform Construction Code, a residential unit is one that has cooking facilities. In order to get the CO, the Certificate of Occupancy, they were made to comply and pull that out, Collins says. You pull out those 6 stoves, I don't know how they got in there. You get them out of there. You think, I don't know what happened. Collins said copies of the lease agreements on file show that Baglivo is renting the units as yearly rentals and not as short-term rentals. Well, thank you for sharing that detail, Mr. Collins, the mayor of Margate. Stop. He brings comments in about stuff that's not relevant, really. Doesn't want to talk about the fact that there's somebody on his staff can't count. At this time, the city has no proof that the developer is not in compliance with zoning regulations, and inspections can only be done when a new lease is signed. Oh. So you're waiting for somebody to sign a lease, and then they're legally obligated. You can't kick them out of a unit that never got approved by the city of Margate? Holy cheese. Hey, Solicitor John Scott Abbott, you got to rein your people in, man. They really have no idea what they're talking about. Kind of like Ken Mosca. I miss Ken. He was fun. A former city manager. Anyway, so Mayor Collins said, at this time, the city has no proof the developer is not in compliance with zoning regulations. We can't count that high. We just can't go over to the parking lot and just go 1, 2, 3. Roger McLarnon, Roger is the man, zoning official. We have no proof he's not compliant. Holy geez, you get the feeling that everyone's defensive? We inspect every rental, but there haven't been any turnovers. They're waiting for turnovers, which won't happen for another year or two. We don't have any proof, and we just can't accuse somebody. Roger, come on, my man. Although Geddes says he suspects foul play on the part of the developer, Steve Baglivo. No way, man. And the city. Collins says that residents email him frequently and that he shares information with the city's attorney, the esteemed solicitor, John Scott Abbott, my man. He's the master of riparian rights, whatever that is. And he gets a lot of emails, and then he shares it with zoning officers in the building department. So, quote, they are all aware of it and they're investigating, trying to get to the bottom of this, Collins said. Good thing he's on board. You couldn't get to the bottom of this 2 years ago? I'm telling you, some of these mayors down the shore, they really, they're not very, couple of sandwiches short of a picnic, if you know what I'm saying. They are all aware of it, and they're investigating, trying to get to the bottom of it, says Mayor Collins of Margate. A lot of times, they could just be alleged violations and rumor, leaks. At this point, we're trying to have a dialogue with the owner's representative saying, if this is true, fix it. And if it's not true, prove it. He runs a hell of a hardware store, Mr. Collins. But when it comes to running a city and running a staff, small town nonsense. Who's going to vote him out? There's not enough voters. And it comes down to that purely. Running unopposed. A majority of the taxpayers do not vote here because they believe they cannot, the way things are set up the way they are right now. Attempts to, this is the best part right here. The best part. Attempts to reach Baglivo and his representative were unsuccessful. We have no idea where he is. Can't figure out where he is. He's got that big smile. Yes, it's blinding. Come on, Steve. Mayor Collins. Roger. Come on, guys. Good job, Nanette Lobiondo Galloway. Love your name, love your work. And it's nice to see you getting up on this story. We did it. Down Beach Buzz did it about 2 weeks ago. It was stinky then, even stinkier now. And Nanette actually dug deeper into this, sharing some information I was not aware of. Now the press of Atlantic City better get their ass in gear and do some journalism, but they forgot what that was. There must be some type of social justice story that they got to get involved with right now. You know what I'm saying? All right. Peace out. Get it together, Margate. Margate residents, Margate taxpayers. Don't let them off the hook. Force them to broadcast and live Zoom video feed, live stream video-wise on Zoom these meetings, especially the planning and zoning meetings. Otherwise, every time you come back in the end of May for the summer, you go, hey, what happened? Who made these decisions? Whoopsie daisy.